if I live in Michigan and I set up a Wyoming LLC, I would want to register that entity as a foreign entity in Michigan where I'm paying myself, right?
Yeah, so let's backpedal a little bit. So when I talk about anonymity and the benefits that Delaware or Wyoming give to an investor, anonymity, you're really looking at your passive real estate investments. So you've got your rentals, your long-term holds, things that maybe you're seller financing, so you're earning interest, things that you're not actively out there pounding the pavement for. When we're talking about a corporation, we're talking about active income. So that's flipping, that's wholesaling, that's Airbnb. Those are the types of things you're not necessarily concerned about anonymity because, as you well know, having your face is your brand in real estate. You are your business. So not owning your business or not making it look like you own your business on the record just isn't really that helpful. So that entity, the one that's doing the active investing, that's getting active income, that's going to be where you're located with subsidiary LLCs wherever your properties are. You're in Michigan, you've got a Michigan corporation, you're flipping in Iowa, you're flipping in Indiana, you're setting up individual subsidiary LLCs in those states. But for your passive investing, you're getting a holding company in Wyoming, a couple of states we may do a Delaware because Delaware has series LLCs, which is a whole other thing to get into. But for that, then you're holding each rental property in a state-specific LLC, and then it's flowing up to your holding company. But your holding company, the anonymous part of your structure, the one that keeps that corporate veil, that keeps that anonymity shield between you and your investments, that will always stay in Wyoming because that will always keep your name off the public record, and that will always give you the charging order protection that's so important. And then from there, you do a subsidiary LLC to hold each rental property that you have in whatever state where the property is located.
Okay, so Wyoming is mostly about anonymity, right? If you don't care about anonymity, then there's not much of a reason to do it there.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So if you don't care about anonymity, or if you're more of an active investor, you're not holding any properties off to the side as passive, then you don't necessarily need the holding company structure. So if you're flipping, sometimes you're just starting out with a corp. So if you're in Michigan, you've got your corp, you've got a subsidiary LLC for maybe a Michigan property, another one for a Texas property, wherever you happen to be. Alternatively, you could foreign file that corporation into the individual states if you wanted to just flip everything within the one corp. But again, you're balancing having only one entity, although it is paying filing fees in each state. But if you don't want to have to do annual meeting minutes, that's basically the extent of the legal compliance you have to complete for an LLC. So if you just want the one entity and you're doing 100 flips in it, just know that if one of those flips goes bad, it's potentially affecting all of it because all the assets are held in the one entity.
And was I understanding right that if we go back a few minutes and let's assume I'm registering in Wyoming because I care about anonymity for whatever reason, were you saying to then have subsidiary LLCs in each state where you're working that are owned by the Wyoming one?
Yeah, so for anonymity and the Wyoming holding company, you're looking at passive real estate investing, so your rental properties. So whatever state your property is in, because remember, renting is doing business in the state, you don't want to register your Wyoming entity in every state because then you lose that anonymity. Like I said, in Nevada, it has great asset protection, but it doesn't have anonymity. I have an LLC with my husband in Nevada that we do like 1099 work out of. He's like the face of the company kind of situation. So our names are just on that entity. So we would never hold property in that entity. We don't want people to know the size of our portfolio. You don't want people to get rear-ended by you and then look your name up and see property all over the place with your name on it. Puts that just target on your back. So for that, you're leaving your Wyoming entity in Wyoming, and then the state where the property is located, that's where you have a separate LLC that's owned by the Wyoming entity because, like I said, renting is doing business in the state.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. And you may have already mentioned this, but what is the benefit of Nevada again? If Wyoming is all about anonymity, why do people do Nevada?
There's no state tax here.
Okay, gotcha. So the income tax, you mean?
Yeah, there's no state income tax. There's charging order protection. So Charging order protection means that if you go out and you personally get sued, you get in a car accident, you go through the whole process, your insurance doesn't cover it, you owe this big judgment. Charging order is the only remedy for your creditor. So they can't pierce the corporate veil. They put a charging order on your entity, meaning that anytime your entity distributes funds to you, then they can garnish those funds. But you're not forced to distribute anything. So you could potentially leave all of your earnings within your company and continue to buy more property, continue to build wealth, continue to do hard money lending, continue to flip whatever it is. And as long as you don't make a distribution to yourself, then that creditor is not going to get it. Will you still have to pay that judgment? Sure. You can just pay with whatever W-2 salary you have. There's limitations on how much of your salary can be garnished by a creditor. But you're sort of just giving them enough so that but still being able to build wealth over here on the side. So Nevada, Delaware, Wyoming, they all have this charging order protection.